So next up, we have our Terabyte partner, Fundastic, who will be sharing with us the advancement of fintech through P2P, also known as peer-to-peer financing. Kelvin Fu is currently the CEO and part of the pioneering team of Fundastic. What is P2P financing and how does it work? We'll find out soon. If you have any questions for Kelvin, please do send them over. Write them down in the comment or in the chat box, and then we will address them here during his speech. All right, so please stay tuned. Kelvin is warming up his passion, and he will be with you shortly. Bye.
Good morning, my name is Kelvin and I'm the CEO of Fundastic, a peer-to-peer financing platform in Malaysia. Before I dive into what is peer-to-peer financing, or P2P in short, I just want to briefly share about the current fintech landscape in the country. Fintech or financial technology has been slowly becoming a key industry in the growth of the country's economy. However, the industry has accelerated ever since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic last year, where the government and many institutions are driving the nation towards being fully digital. Examples are like the initiatives for driving digital wallets and payments through eBelia and the ePenjana program, and also Bank Negara's digital banking license, which should be announced by first quarter next year. So what is P2P financing, and how does it complement the country's digital agenda? We all know that micro, small and medium enterprises, or MSMEs in short, are the backbone of our country's economy. They make up of 98.5% of businesses in Malaysia and contributes almost 40% of the country's GDP and almost half of the country's workforce. But the one big issue or pain point that MSMEs are facing is the access to funding or financing. And P2P can actually offer the solution by providing an alternative access to funding for underserved MSMEs and at the same time provide a new investment option to the people of Malaysia. To make it simple, instead of banks, businesses can now receive financing from the rakyat through P2P. There are currently 11 licensed P2P operators registered with Securities Commission Malaysia or SC. This illustration will generally explain how P2P works in Malaysia. There are three parties: the P2P platform, investors, and the businesses or MSMEs, or in the industry we call them issuers. The issuers or MSMEs who needs funds will register and apply online with the platform, for example, platform like Fundastic, and we will evaluate the application, and if approved, we will host this business investment note for investors to view and then to decide to invest in the note. There can be more than one investors investing in the note issued by the business. For example, if a business needs 100,000 ringgit, there can be multiple investors crowdfunding from as low as 50 ringgit to assist the business achieve its 100,000 ringgit funding goal. Once the 100,000 is achieved, the platform will then disperse the funds directly to the business account, and then the business is then obliged to repay the funding in installments at the pre-agreed tenor and interest rate. So how P2P started in Malaysia? Well, back in 2016, Malaysia became the first country in the ASEAN region to have a fully regulatory framework for P2P, and in November 2016, Fundastic along with 5 other companies were awarded the license to operate P2P under the Securities Commission. Since then, the government has been playing an indirect role by incentivizing and pushing MSMEs to go digital and take advantage of platforms such as P2P financing. The Malaysia Co-Investment Fund, or MySIF in short, was set up back in 2019 to co-invest alongside investors into the notes of these MSMEs via P2P. In simple terms, the government is also assisting to finance MSMEs through P2P, and by the end of last year, MySIF has invested over 165 million ringgit, benefiting over 1,100 underserved businesses. And as of March this year, the P2P industry has successfully disbursed nearly 1.4 billion ringgit to over 3,000 businesses in the country. And I believe P2P is just barely scratching the surface in terms of helping more businesses in the country. Also, Fundastic takes around 50% market share in terms of granting access to financing for these businesses. Now, just some regulatory guidelines on the eligibility for businesses to apply with P2P. Businesses has to be SSM registered. As long as you're a sole proprietor, partnership, Sdn Bhd, unlisted company, registered with SSM, you are eligible. And for Fundastic, even new businesses or startups are eligible to apply for financing. Secondly, businesses can only apply for funding on one P2P platform at a time if the financing is for the same purpose. Some advantages of P2P financing compared to traditional FIs like banks. For businesses, the process is very convenient since we are fully online. Business owners can register and apply for financing from the comforts of their own home or office as long as there is internet connection. We are flexible in terms of the interest rates and tenor as well. For the investors, it's an opportunity to diversify your investment portfolio while earning higher returns. And at the same time, you are actually helping local businesses grow and indirectly growing the country's economy. Now, Fundastic will be 4 years old next month, and we aim to use technology to enhance access to both financing and investments, and to help individuals and businesses achieve their financial goals every day. Our mission is to develop a transparent, simple, and fair digital financing marketplace. Our leadership team is made up of over 50 years of combined expertise in banking, legal, and tech. Jeffrey Chew is Fundastic's founder and chairman, and he was previously the CEO and director of OCBC Bank Malaysia. And currently, he's the group CEO of Paramount Corporation Berhad. As for myself, before I joined Fundastic over 4 years ago, I had experience in the banking, insurance, and IT service industry. Michael is a lawyer by trade and is a managing partner in one of the law firms in Malaysia. Now, Gary is a banker by trade and has a rich background in credit risk, especially and particularly in SME credit. He actually co-authored the first ever SME program lending model in Malaysia, which until today, banks are still using it. Now, as of June, Fundastic has funded almost 2,000 notes and disbursed over 122 million ringgit. Now, since Fundastic is a fully digital platform, anyone can be a member by just registering online without any physical documents required. It's very simple. Individuals can complete their registration within 10 minutes and businesses can complete within 1 to 2 days with these 5 simple steps. Now, being a digital platform, cybersecurity is a priority. And Fundastic has many security features. And here are just a few of them. Apart from standard email authentication, all monies from investors and repayments from the SMEs are paid directly via FPX into a secured trustee account. And for Fundastic, our trustee is Maybank Trustee Berhad. Our system also undergoes periodic penetration tests and have eKYC for our investors. Let me just explain a little bit more on how our eKYC works. Our members register via the Fundastic mobile app and upload their NRIC. Our system will then perform the NRIC authentication and facial recognition to ensure our members are verified. Now here are a couple of our Fundastic highlights. Fundastic was the first in the P2P industry to launch its very own capital guarantee program, namely Principal Protect, where the platform will guarantee investors' capital when simple investments criteria are met. Of course, terms and conditions apply. Fundastic also launched the first ever secondary market in the industry, the first and only. And the secondary market basically allows investors to buy and sell investment notes among each other. And this allows higher liquidity and cash flow on the platform. Now, Fundastic eases the process for businesses to apply and receive financing. On average, businesses on Fundastic are able to receive funding as fast as 5 days. Other benefits are like low fees from 1%, flexible tenor between 6 to 36 months, no physical documents required, no collaterals needed, and finally, no hidden charges. Now, there's also plenty of benefits for investors. Fundastic guarantees the first month's principal and interest repayment, and investors are potentially earning up to 23% effective interest rate with investments as low as 50 ringgit per note. Investors can receive principal and interest repayments on a monthly basis, which improves cash flow. We also do not require any upfront deposit. Withdrawals are easy via our automated withdrawal system. And we also have an auto investment feature where investors can just set up their own investment criteria on their Fundastic account, and our system will automatically invest based on these criteria. Now finally, just a special promo for everyone here. Use this promo code and you'll receive 50 ringgit for your investment in Fundastic as an investor. Or if you're a business looking to apply for financing on Fundastic, we will refund your application fee with this promo code. Now that's the end of my presentation. If there are any questions, I'll be here to take any of your questions after this, or you can let me know during the next session where I will be participating as one of the panelists as well. On the other hand, you can also visit fundastic.com and then drop us a question in our live chat box. Right, thank you. Take care, stay home, and stay safe.
So I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and we also have Calvin here to answer some of your questions. So let's get to it. So we have a few questions for you.
Yeah.
All right, so the first question is, have you considered, and this is from Tan Ming, who's on WebEx, have you considered offering financing options to online retailers?
Yeah, so Fundastic actually do provide financing for all type of businesses. We actually have a partnership with Lazada, where if you're an online seller that's actually selling your products on Lazada, we actually provide special rates and special a special product just exclusively for Lazada online sellers as well.
All right. Maybe exclusive products. What kind of exclusive products?
Well, I mean, because we are actually linked to Lazada's database, so we have alternative data to actually perform credit evaluation for these sellers. So from that we can actually sort of mitigate some risk. So Lazada sellers might get a better interest rate.
Oh, that's really nice, especially because there was a gap. There's a gap in that knowledge before, so you're filling that gap up.
Yeah, I mean, online businesses, I mean, before P2P, they've always been struggling to get funding from traditional banks because I know if I'm a sole proprietor, a single business owner at home trying to sell my own products online, it's very hard for me to get a loan from the banks. So P2P is a solution for them.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much. And thank you so much, Tanvin, for your questions. I hope you've been able to answer it. We have a few more questions for you as well. So we have one question from Stephen. So, so I don't quite understand this question because finances is not my background, but hopefully you'll be able to answer it. So the question is from Stephen. Thank you so much, Stephen. How can we determine how to determine and protect the principal's payout?
Just to explain, our principal protects basically our in-house capital guarantee mechanism to basically guarantee or protect our investors' principal when they invest.
Okay.
Right. So it's basically protecting the investor's investment in a portfolio basis. So some investment criteria needs to be met before being qualified. So you need to have at least 100 notes in your portfolio. Your investments need to be sort of equal among all the notes. In terms of the payout, as long as there is actually an icon in a Fundastic members homepage where they can determine their principal break-even point or their basically a point where they actually loses money. Right, so it will go up and down depending if there's defaults or not. So as long as you see that icon, the amount it goes to negative, then the platform will actually pay out the amount to zeroize it. So basically pay back your principal.
So what you're telling me is on the application there is a button for you to be able to see the trends of this particular product
going up and down. There's a section that you can see your returns, what's your expected returns, what's your sort of like your break-even point. So what's your break-even point based on your principal protect. So if it goes below, then the platform will actually pay back into the Fundastic account on the next month, basically.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you also, Stephen. Hopefully that answered your question. We have a few more questions for you. So the next question is from Julie. Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for sending in your question. So the question is, based on the track record, which industry does Fundastic finance the most?
Well, Fundastic, our main target segments are the underserved segments. So the businesses that currently are struggling to get access to financing from banks. Right? Before this, they've been getting funding from their own credit cards or friends and family, or even worse, going to shadow banking. Right? So these are our target segments, and this is the type of business we want to help. So naturally, most of these businesses are in your retail and services market. Your mom and pop shop, your F&Bs outside, downstairs, your shop selling books or toys.
So, your local Grab car shops.
Correct. So majority of so basically to answer that question, in terms of industry, it's mainly the services and retail market.
Which is a large portion of our economy, of our general SME economy as well.
It is. I mean, we deem them as sort of like the backbone of our economy, right? So at least now there's an alternative solution for them to get financing to help them grow their business.
Wow, the backbone of the economy. Now that's very interesting. So is that, I mean, the passion behind Fundastic, and this is not a question from you guys, by the way, this is a personal question, but I think this backbone of the community, right? Is that one of the reasons why you started and is passionate about this project? Yeah,
I mean, two things. Firstly is we know that because most of our leadership team are ex-bankers, and we know that there is a gap to financing in Malaysia, and especially the SMEs. I did mention that 98.5% of our businesses are SMEs, and majority of them are underserved. And so Fundastic, our P2P financing, it's definitely an alternative or a solution for these underserved SMEs to at least now get an opportunity to get some funding.
Yeah.
And then from the people as well, from the rakyat, right? So
Yeah.
it's basically people helping people, the people, the public, it's basically helping SMEs grow, if indirectly helping the economy grow as well.
Correct. This way, you know that this way you know that the rakyat's money is going to go to what you want. Sorry, no shade, no tea, no shade. All jokes. So we have a few more questions for you. So the next question is, yes. So this is also something that I asked you earlier. So I guess you could also share it with the crowd. The question is, what's the difference between P2P lending and P2P crowdfunding?
Okay, it's actually the same thing. P2P lending is P2P crowdfunding. P2P lending is a form of crowdfunding. Maybe just to digest or go back to what crowdfunding is or what types of crowdfunding is. So you have your rewards-based crowdfunding, which is like your Kickstarter, where you crowdfund, and then in return you get the product from the company, right? Then you have
Oh, like
sort of
very similar to like Patreon,
Correct.
and then what was that other one? The start when you have a model, Kickstarter.
Yeah, Kickstarter.
Okay.
So those are all like rewards based or charity based. And then when it comes to finance or more regulated industry, you have P2P and also ECF, which is equity crowdfunding. So maybe that's the question, the difference between P2P and ECF crowdfunding. So P2P is a debt based crowdfunding. That means the funders are actually investing in the debt of the SMEs, whereas ECF or equity crowdfunding, the people are crowdfunding into the equity of the SMEs. So in return, you get some sort of shares from the SMEs.
I see. So one is a little bit more direct, and the other one is a part of a wider system.
Yeah,
of
the ECF is more sort of long term. You're actually like investing in the shares of this SME, hoping that they will become the next Grab or the next unicorn. Right? So most of the companies that go for
Malaysian unicorn. Let's do it, guys.
Yeah. Fantastic, maybe one of them.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
I'm a fan.
Yeah, so most of the companies that go into equity crowdfunding are normally the tech companies, right? Because they are the one that have scalability and possibility to be the next unicorn.
Okay, so that means for Fundastic, you have two options. You have the more SME options with the mom and pop shops, but you also have this room as well for tech companies as well to kind of grow, or you have that option.
ECF is a different industry, different company, so
I
we don't do that.
see,
But
okay.
for Fundastic, we also do help startups and new businesses as well. So like for example, banks do not help new businesses. Like if you're 6 months old or 1 year old in business, it's pretty hard for you to get a loan from the bank for your business. So Fundastic actually do finance a lot of businesses that are 1 year old or less.
Okay, that's amazing. If I want to start my own business, I know who to call. So we have another question thank you so much for your answer, and thank you so much for the question. We have another question from Alfred. This one's a little bit of a long one, so I'm going to read it out. P2P is, his opinion is, the P2P is fairly new in Malaysia. So his question is, what has Fundastic's experiences been, and how sustainable is this alternative financing initiative? What is the industry default rate for P2P players, and has loan bookings increased during the COVID-19 pandemic period? Well, Alfred, that's 3 questions. But let's see, let's go through it one by one. Yeah,
right.
let's do it.
So what has Fundastic experience been, and how sustainable is this alternative financing initiative? Well, we're actually 4 years old next month, right? So we are growing. I think it's still very, as I mentioned before, it's still very, the market is still very untouched. Because of the industry is still very new. So there are still a lot of SMEs that are still not aware about P2P or this alternative financing. Of course, the government and our regulators are helping, but the market is still very huge. So, and at the same time, traditional banks are not really going into this market yet, right? We won't know after the digital banking license announced. But so for that, I think the market is still there. So I think P2P will be here for the long run. What's the second question? It's the default rate for P2P players. Very simple. It's around 2% currently, over the industry default rate. And has the loan bookings increased? Tricky question. Application has been increased, right? Of course, there are a lot of more applications coming in. But of course, being a platform, we need to balance both the SME interest and our investors' interest. So we know that some businesses are not, operational now. So we need to make sure that those those SMEs that we do approve are still quality in terms of their credit and their cash flow.
Yeah, because you do have a responsibility to the people who are funding as well as to other companies to make sure that something will come out of the investment.
Yeah, correct. Because we know that when the funding are unsecured, means there's no collateral, right? So there is risk for the investors where, if SMEs to go bankrupt or the SMEs do not pay their financing, then the investors might lose their money. But of course, that's where we always practice or preach diversification, where we always encourage our investors to diversify across at least 100 notes where the principal protect comes in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's amazing. Oh, that's good. You answered all 3 questions. High five. Oh wait, we can't have 5. We can okay. All right. So thank you so much, Alfred. We have another question from Ben. This one's a short one. So are there any benefits for long-term investors?
Yeah, I guess Ben is already a long-term investor with us, so thanks for your support. Yes, we have our reward programs, right? Like our Go for 100, where if you hit 100 notes, you get 50 ringgit from us. You have our elite member club, where if you invest, I think 50,000 ringgit, you get certain cashbacks and rewards. Next month is our 4-year anniversary. We will be launching quite a lot of free giveaways and reward programs as well. So stay tuned for that. And we'll probably launch a new reward program for our long-term investors as well. So just stay tuned for a few more days.
You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. We have another one. This one is a spicy question from Jojo. So, how are your returns better than banks?
Good question. Our returns are definitely better than banks. I mean, I'm quite sure now FD rates are between your 2 to 2.5% per annum. Our gross interest rate is up to 23% effective interest rate, right? So after taking into account, defaults, taking into account our fees, we have the data. Investors who are with us for the past 3 to 4 years, who've already been and still with us for the last 4 years, they're actually yielding around 10% per annum.
Wow.
After net of default, net of fees.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why is because with P2P, you're actually getting your principal and interest repayment every month as well. So every month you get back your funds, you can actually use it to invest again. So you're basically compounding your money. So eventually you don't even need to take out fresh cash from your bank. You can just let it roll, and that's where your compounding effect works.
That's nice. So that means that you put it in, and then every month you get the returns to invest in the growth of your business again.
Yeah, you can use the money to either invest again or you can withdraw. But of course, we encourage you to invest again so that you can compound your returns.
Yeah. Yeah. Remember, when you get extra money, put it back into your business to grow it. Don't buy a new waterbed, like I did. All right. So we have another question from Al Walid. Thank you so much, Al Walid, for your question. And the question is, what is the average loan size and average lending rate for Fundastic?
Our average loan size at this moment is around 70,000 ringgit. The reason why it's so low is because, again, we are targeting the micro and small businesses. So your mom and pop shops which do not need a lot of funds. They just need 70,000, 100,000. So our average loan size or financing size is around 70,000. And the lending rate or interest rate is currently on about 11%. 11% per annum flat.
All right, nice. Okay, so I also wanted to ask. So this particular format for SMEs, right? So this is something that I think is very important now, because even learning just a little bit about economies, you hear in American news, they always say that it's the mom and pop companies that make the backbone of any economy, right? So in terms of this particular project, right? So you focus more on SMEs, but in the future, would you consider to scale up to like maybe different projects? Like, this is a metaphorical future. Like, just say, like, you personally, would you love to scale it up?
Yeah, I mean, we are expanding regionally, right? So we have Singapore as well. Fundastic Singapore will be launching, should be next month as well. And we're looking into other countries in the ASEAN, Southeast Asia region as well. Australia is a possibility, probably then Vietnam or Thailand as well. So we're still going to keep to our core, P2P, but then we're going to expand overseas.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see what businesses actually come out, because there's a lot of different differences in our region, in terms of what we want and in terms of creativity and companies. I think that's really great. All right, so without further ado, sorry, I got distracted talking to you. We have one more question, and this is also from Al Walid. Hey, Al Walid, nice to have a conversation with you. So his question is, you mentioned the default rate PTP is at 2%. Is it per month or per annum?
It's per annum. I mean, when any financial institution disclose their default rate is normally per annum. So it's 2% per annum.
All right, cool. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here and answering all the questions. I've also learned a lot about P2P financing. And thank you so much, all the members in the audiences, for sending us a question, and especially to Al Walid. We have he sent in like 2 conversations.
Al Walid Lo.
Yeah, Al Walid Lo. It's nice. Al Walid, I think, means father in Arabic. So the Father. So thank you so much, Walid. We've been blessed with the presence of the Father.
Yeah.
So we are going to move forward to the rest of our event soon. But I would just like to thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
All right.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah. Any last words that you would like to say to everyone?
Well, I mean, just visit fundastic.com. If any questions, you can just drop us a question in the live chat.
All right, famous starting words. All right, so thank you so much, guys. See you soon, and I'll be back to lead you to the next part of the event. Bye.